She won't stop crying, Emma's mother told the security guard. I'm sorry, maybe we should leave. They were in the front row at Birmingham NEC Arena, tickets her late husband had bought months ago, and Emma had been sobbing since the lights went down. Seeing Ozzy without her dad was too much. The security guard nodded sympathetically and started to escort them out. That's when Ozzy Osbourne jumped off the stage. It was October 23, 1985. Ozzy was playing the Birmingham NEC Arena during his Ultimate Sin Tour, one of the hottest tickets in rock and roll. The arena was packed with 15,000 screaming fans. The pyrotechnics were exploding on cue, and everything was going exactly as planned, except for the little girl in the front row who couldn't stop crying. Emma Collins was 8 years old, and 3 weeks ago, her entire world had collapsed. Her father, David Collins, had been killed in a motorcycle accident on October 1st. A lorry driver had failed to see him at a roundabout and struck him broadside. David died before the ambulance arrived. He was 36 years old. David Collins had been the biggest Ozzy Osbourne fan Emma had ever known. His love for the Prince of Darkness was legendary in their small town outside Birmingham. He had every album, every poster, every piece of merchandise he could afford. He'd painted his garage door with a Black Sabbath logo. He'd taught Emma the words to Crazy Train before she could properly read. 6 months before the accident, David had done something mad. He'd spent nearly a month's wages on 2 front-row tickets to see Ozzy at the NEC Arena, right there in Birmingham, Ozzy's hometown. His wife Linda had been furious at first. They couldn't afford that kind of extravagance, but David had been so excited, so passionate, that she couldn't stay angry. This is going to be the greatest night of our lives, David had told Emma. Just you and me, princess, front row. We're going to be so close we can see the madman himself up close. Emma had counted down the days. She'd made a paper chain, tearing off one link every morning, watching the chain get shorter as the concert got closer. She and her dad had planned everything. What they'd wear, what songs they hoped to hear, how they'd get Ozzy's attention because Ozzy was both of their absolute hero. Then October 1st happened. The paper chain was still hanging in Emma's room, 22 links remaining, when the police came to the door. After the funeral, Linda didn't know what to do with the tickets. Throwing them away seemed wrong. They were the last thing David had been excited about, the last dream he'd been looking forward to. But going to the concert without him seemed impossible. Emma made the decision for her. I want to go, Mom, she said 5 days before the show. Dad would want us to go. Sweetheart, I don't know if that's a good idea. It might be too sad. I know it'll be sad. But Dad spent all that money. He was so excited. If we don't go, it's like his excitement dies too. I want to keep it alive. Linda looked at her 8-year-old daughter, this tiny person who'd just lost her father and was somehow holding it together better than the adults around her, and made a decision. They would go. The night of the concert, Emma insisted on wearing her father's Ozzy shirt. It was a men's extra large, comically oversized on her small frame, hanging past her knees like a dress. But it smelled like her dad. It felt like wearing a hug from someone who wasn't there anymore. She also brought her father's ticket stub. He'd already torn his ticket, preparing for the night before the accident. Emma held that stub in her hand like a talisman, proof that her dad was supposed to be here, proof that this night was meant to include him. When they arrived at the NEC Arena, Emma was okay. Nervous, sad, but okay. She could do this. She could honor her dad by experiencing what he'd been looking forward to for 6 months. Then, the lights went down. The darkness hit Emma like a physical blow. In the blackness of the arena, surrounded by screaming strangers, the reality crashed over her. Dad should be here. Dad should be holding her hand right now, squeezing it with excitement as the show was about to start. Dad should be the one screaming, the one pointing at the stage, the one making this night magical. Instead, there was an empty space beside her where he should have been. Emma started crying. Not the quiet, controlled tears of someone trying to hold it together, the deep, body-shaking sobs of genuine grief. She couldn't stop. The more she tried to control it, the worse it got. Linda pulled her close, trying to shield her from the chaos around them. It's okay, love. It's okay. We can leave if you want. But Emma didn't want to leave. Leaving would mean giving up, would mean admitting that Dad's dream died with him. She shook her head, but she couldn't stop crying. The show started. Ozzy took the stage with his usual explosive energy. The crowd went absolutely mental. Pyrotechnics lit up the arena. Ozzy's voice, that unmistakable wail, filled every corner of the building, and Emma cried through all of it. She couldn't see through her tears. She couldn't hear over her own sobs. The concert she'd waited 6 months for was happening right in front of her, and all she could feel was the absence of the person who should have been sharing it with her. By the 4th song, Linda made a decision. This wasn't working. Emma was inconsolable, and staying was only making things worse. They needed to go. She flagged down a security guard. "I'm sorry," Linda said, trying to be heard over the music. "My daughter, she won't stop crying. Her father just died. These were his tickets. I think we need to leave." The security guard nodded with sympathy. He'd seen a lot of things at concerts, but a grief-stricken child in the front row was new. "I understand, ma'am. Let me help you out." He started to guide them toward the side exit, away from the crowd. That's when Ozzy saw them. He'd been watching the front row all night, something he did sometimes, picking out interesting faces, feeding off the energy of the closest fans. He'd noticed the little girl early on, noticed she was crying, noticed the oversized Ozzy shirt that clearly belonged to someone else. He'd assumed she was overwhelmed by the noise, maybe frightened by the theatrics. He'd figured her mum would handle it. But now he saw a security guard leading them away. The mother looked devastated. The little girl was still sobbing, clutching something in her hand. A ticket stub, Ozzy realized. And on the back of her oversized shirt, written in what looked like black marker, were the words, "This one's for you, Dad." Ozzy stopped singing mid-song. The band stumbled, trying to figure out what was happening. The crowd murmured in confusion, but Ozzy was already moving. He walked to the edge of the stage, sat down, and dropped the 6 feet to the arena floor. Security rushed toward him, thinking something was wrong, but Ozzy waved them off. He walked directly to Emma and her mother. "Wait," Ozzy said to the security guard. "Don't take them out, not yet." The security guard stopped, bewildered. Linda stared at Ozzy Osbourne, her husband's hero, now standing 3 feet away, wild-haired and intense. Ozzy knelt down to Emma's level. She was still crying, but quieter now, shocked into near silence by what was happening. "Hey," Ozzy said gently. "What's your name, love?" Emma," she managed. "Emma, that's lovely." He pointed to her shirt. "This one's for you, Dad. What's that about, then?" Emma's lip trembled. "My daddy died 3 weeks ago. These were his tickets. He was supposed to be here with me." Ozzy felt something twist in his chest. He looked at Linda, who nodded, tears streaming down her face. He loved you," Emma continued, her voice small and broken. "He had all your albums. He had all the Black Sabbath albums. You were his hero. He said you were the greatest singer in the world." Ozzy was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Your daddy sounds like he had brilliant taste." Emma almost smiled. Almost. "Listen to me, Emma," Ozzy said. "I know you're sad. I know this isn't how tonight was supposed to be, but your daddy wanted you to have this night. He spent all that money because he wanted you to experience something amazing. And if we let you leave right now crying, his dream for you doesn't come true." Emma stared at him. "So here's what I'm thinking," Ozzy continued. "I'm going to bring you up on that stage, and I'm going to sing a song for your daddy, and we're going to make sure that wherever he is right now, he knows his little girl is okay. How does that sound?" Emma looked at her mother. Linda nodded, speechless. "Okay," Emma whispered. Ozzy picked her up, this tiny girl in an oversized shirt, clutching her dead father's ticket stub, and carried her back toward the stage. The crowd, which had been confused by the interruption, began to realize something special was happening. A murmur built into applause as Ozzy climbed back on stage with the little girl in his arms. He set Emma down gently on a road case near his monitor, where she could see everything. Then he walked to his microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," Ozzy said, his voice rough with emotion, "I want to introduce you to someone. This is Emma. She's 8 years old. Her daddy was supposed to be here tonight. He bought these tickets 6 months ago, but her daddy passed away 3 weeks ago. He never got to keep his promise to bring her to see me play." The crowd went silent. 15,000 people, completely still. Emma's daddy loved this music. Emma loves this music too. So we're going to do something right now. We're going to play a song for Emma's daddy, and wherever he is, we're going to make sure he hears it." Ozzy looked over at his band. They understood immediately. The guitarist began the opening notes, and Ozzy started singing Goodbye to Romance, the ballad, the tender song, the one about loss and moving forward. But this time, it wasn't just sad, it was sacred. As Ozzy sang the words, he walked over and sat next to Emma. He put his arm around her. She leaned into him, this stranger who had somehow become exactly what she needed. "Your daddy can hear this," Ozzy whispered to her. "I promise you, love, he can hear it." Emma cried, but they were different tears now, not hopeless tears, healing tears. By the time the song ended, there wasn't a dry eye in Birmingham NEC Arena. 15,000 people had just witnessed something that transcended rock and roll. They'd witnessed love and loss and a moment of human connection that none of them would ever forget. Ozzy helped Emma off the stage and back to her mother. Before they parted, Emma did something that surprised everyone. She reached up and hugged Ozzy Osbourne, a real hug, tight and grateful. "Thank you," she whispered. "Daddy would have loved this." "I know he would have," Ozzy replied. "And Emma, he's proud of you. For being brave enough to come tonight, for keeping his dream alive." Linda mouthed thank you through her tears. Ozzy nodded. The rest of the concert was electric. Something had shifted in the arena, an awareness that life was precious, that love mattered, that sometimes the most important moments happen when you least expect them. After the show, Ozzy arranged for Emma and Linda to come backstage. He gave Emma a guitar pick he'd used during the performance, signed it with her father's name alongside his own. "For David and Emma, rock on forever, Ozzy." He also gave her something else, a promise. "Every year on October 23rd, wherever I am in the world, I'm going to play Goodbye to Romance and dedicate it to your daddy. So you'll always know that someone remembers." Ozzy kept that promise. For the next 3 decades, every October 23rd, at whatever show he was playing, he'd pause and say, "This one's for David Collins. Emma, I hope you're listening." Emma always was. Emma Collins is 47 years old now. She's a grief counselor in Birmingham, helping children who've lost parents find their way through the darkness. On her office wall hangs that guitar pick, framed alongside the ticket stub her father never got to use. She still goes to see Ozzy Osbourne whenever he plays within driving distance. She always wears her father's Ozzy shirt, still too big for her, still faded and worn, still the most valuable thing she owns. And every October 23rd, she lights a candle, plays Goodbye to Romance, and remembers the night a rock legend jumped off a stage to save a little girl from drowning in grief. "My dad gave me Ozzy's music," Emma says now. "But Ozzy Osbourne gave me permission to grieve and still find joy. He showed me that my dad's love didn't die with him. It just found new ways to reach me." In 2018, Emma's daughter, named Diana after David, turned 8 years old. For her birthday, Emma took her to see Ozzy Osbourne at a venue in Birmingham. During the show, Ozzy spotted Emma in the crowd and smiled. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "there's someone here I've known for over 30 years. Emma, is that your daughter?" Emma nodded, crying again, but smiling. "Well," Ozzy said, "this one's for Emma, for Diana, and for David Collins, the man who started it all." He played Goodbye to Romance. 3 generations of Collins, connected by a song, connected by love, connected by a moment when a rock star saw a crying child and decided she mattered more than the show. That's what happens when you stop for people. You don't just change one night, you change a lifetime. The night Ozzy Osbourne jumped off that stage in Birmingham, he didn't just comfort a grieving child. He showed 15,000 people that behind the wild man persona, behind the bat-biting legend, behind the Prince of Darkness, was someone who understood pain because he'd lived it. Someone who knew that sometimes the most rock and roll thing you can do is be human. If this story of grief, compassion, and the healing power of being seen moved you, subscribe and share it with someone who needs to know that even in our darkest moments, someone might notice us and reach out. Have you ever been saved by a moment of unexpected kindness? Share your story in the comments and hit that notification bell for more true stories about the moments when rock stars became guardian angels.